Dobro jutro, bačice. Dobro jutro, sestre, dobro jutro, sestrice. Zašto, brate, neće automatski da mi, brate, namesti sat? Brate, namesti, brate, hvala mu, brate. Hvala Windowsie, brate. Braćo, pocijepao sam se juče. Znači, bolešćina. Bolešćina. Bolešćina.
You've been told that a narcissist's greatest fear is losing you, that they panic when you go silent, pull away, or finally walk out the door. But I am here to tell you, it is not that simple. That is just the tip of the iceberg. Deep beneath the water, there is a much darker primal terror
Morning ritual, taman, da popijem kafu.
that drives everything they do. It is the one thing they have spent the entire relationship distracting you from, hiding behind walls of charm, chaos, and deception. Because they know that if you touch this hidden truth, their power over you doesn't just fade, it dissolves. So what is the specific realization lying beneath the surface that threatens their entire existence? And what exactly are they so terrified you might find? The narcissist is immediately intimidated by your strength, your positivity, and your natural energy. When they first enter your proximity, they do not see a person, they see a source of life. Jung described the concept of libido not just as sexual desire,
Daniele, vodu. Vodu, brate, da ne ustaje, brate, non stop. A vode nema, a vode nema. Jebeš vodu.
but as psychic energy, the raw force that drives creativity, will, and existence. You have this energy in abundance. You are likely a person who is full of new ideas, driven by a genuine enthusiasm for life, and capable of acting in an honest, confident way. This natural abundance is what catches their attention. But you must understand that their attention is not admiration in the way a healthy person experiences it. It is the attention of someone who is starving, looking at someone who has food. They are drawn to powerful, self-driven people because they suffer from a profound internal emptiness. Jung noted that people who have not done the work of individuation, the process of becoming a complete, integrated self, often feel fragmented and incomplete. The narcissist lacks a solid core. They do not generate their own self-esteem or their own sense of identity. They must source these things from the outside. When they see you, they see a completed person. They see someone who can direct the course of events, someone who influences others naturally, and someone who possesses an inner stability they can only pretend to have. This makes you an attractive target, but it also makes you a dangerous one. While they are pursuing you, they are simultaneously terrified of you. This is the paradox of their condition. They need your energy to sustain their false self-image, but your energy constantly reminds them of their own inadequacy. Every time you display confidence, you inadvertently highlight their insecurity. Every time you act with genuine honesty, you expose their deceit. They are fully aware on a subconscious level that you possess the substance they lack. Jung suggested that we often project our own unconscious potential onto others. For the narcissist, you represent the golden shadow, the embodiment of everything they wish they were but cannot achieve. This creates a dynamic of intense fear within them. Their greatest early fear is that you might realize just how powerful you truly are. If you understood the value of your own qualities, you would never settle for their treatment. If you recognized that your energy is high-value currency, you would stop giving it away for free. They know that a person who is truly aware of their own strength cannot be enslaved. Therefore, they must keep you in the dark. They must initiate a relationship with you to access your power, but they must immediately begin working to ensure you never fully understand the magnitude of that power. The narcissist observes your capacity to influence the behavior of others and the course of events. They see that you are capable of functioning without them, while they know deep down that they cannot function without a source of supply. This creates a dependency they deeply resent. They hate the fact that they need you. To manage this fear, they convince themselves and eventually try to convince you that you are the lucky one to be in their presence. This is a defense mechanism designed to protect their fragile ego from the truth. The truth is that you are the reality, and they are the illusion. You are the source, and they are the dread. It signals the end of their survival strategy. Their entire psychological structure depends on you believing that you are small and they are big. But the reality is the reverse. You are the one with the capacity to do, to act, and to build. They are the one who can only mimic, manipulate, and destroy. If you were to wake up to this fact, their power over you would cease to exist. They are not afraid of your weakness. They are relying on it being manufactured. They are afraid of your strength because it is real. If these truths resonate, somewhat what it appeared to be. It is not emotional, it is strictly transactional. Never what it appeared to be the hidden logic channel, but to your own unfolding. In the next part, you'll see the hidden logic behind why they chose you and why their interest was never what it appeared to be. The narcissist's attraction to you is not emotional, it is strictly transactional. In the world of the narcissist, human relationships are not based on connection, intimacy, or mutual growth. They are based on utility. Jung wrote extensively about the persona, the mask that individuals wear to present a certain image to society. For most people, the persona is a functional tool for social interaction. For the narcissist, it is all that exists. There is no authentic self behind the mask. Therefore, they choose you because you enhance their mask. They select you for your supply, your status, your appearance, or your resources, in the same way one might select an expensive accessory. They want your image, your talent, your respect, and your energy. When they look at you, they are calculating what you can do for them. They admire your qualities not because they want to nurture them, but because they want to possess them. This is a process of psychological assimilation. They believe that by being in close proximity to you, your qualities will somehow transfer to them. They hope that your intelligence will make them appear smarter. They hope that your reputation will elevate their social standing. They hope that your inner stability will calm their internal chaos. They want access to what you have built, not to appreciate it, but to consume it. They act as if they are proud of your accomplishments, but in reality, they are taking credit for them by association. If you are strong, they feel strong standing next to you. If you are admired, they feed off the admiration directed at you. Jung described the collective unconscious as a reservoir of shared human experiences and archetypes. The narcissist is obsessed with the archetype of the ruler or the special one. Since they cannot fulfill this archetype through their own merit, they attach themselves to someone who embodies these traits naturally. You become the battery that powers their fantasy of importance. They didn't choose you to respect these qualities. They chose you to exploit them. It was never about appreciating who you are. It was always about what they could get from you. They view your talents as resources to be mined. They view your kindness as a weakness to be leveraged. They view your loyalty as a guarantee of service. They believe and hope that maybe your qualities might rub off on them, or maybe they can mimic your abilities and talents or steal your ideas. It has nothing to do with appreciation regarding what you are about or what you have to offer. It is all about you giving or surrendering everything that you have worked so hard to build over to them. This creates a predatory dynamic. They are like a person who befriends a wealthy individual solely to spend their money. Only in this case, the currency is not just financial, it is emotional, psychological, and spiritual. They want you to make them look good. They want you to carry the emotional labor of the relationship. They want you to regulate their self-esteem. They expect you to hand over your inner power and strength to them. This has a strong influence and effect on them. It is very beneficial for them as a source of supply. But there is a deep fear buried in this transaction. What they fear most in this stage is you discovering that they need you far more than you need them. The narcissist projects an image of independence and superiority. They act as if they are doing you a favor by being with you. But this is a reversal of the truth. Without your supply, they starve. Without your validation, they collapse. Without your energy, they fall into depression or rage. You are the host, and they are dependent on you for their psychological survival. Jung argued that we cannot see the shadow in ourselves, so we project it onto others. The narcissist projects their own dependency onto you. They call you needy, emotional, or demanding, when in reality, they are the ones who cannot survive alone. They are terrified that you will see the math for what it is. You bring the value, they bring the deficit. You bring the reality, they bring the fiction. If you realized that the transaction is entirely one-sided, that you are giving gold and receiving dust, you would close the account immediately. They must keep you believing that the relationship is based on love, destiny, or a unique connection. They cannot afford for you to see the cold, mechanical nature of their choice. They cannot afford for you to realize that they are simply mirroring your personality back to you to get what they want. They are terrified you will look behind the curtain and see that there is no wizard, only a small, frightened person pulling levers to maintain an illusion of power. If this part revealed something you hadn't seen before, comment one word: realized. Share your journey, because recognizing your value is the first step toward reclaiming your power. In the next part, you'll understand the moment their admiration turns into fear and the shift that makes them feel threatened by your strength. Before a narcissist ever tries to control you, something subtle happens, something they don't want you to notice. The admiration they once felt begins to curdle into fear. At first, they were drawn to your strength. Now that same strength exposes how little control they truly have. This shift terrifies them, and so, quietly, deliberately, they begin a new mission. Not to defeat your power outright, but to disconnect you from
Chi se lo voto a spiegare? Šta će mi kisela voda, brate?
it. If they can make you question what you once knew with certainty, They can reshape your reality before you realize it's happening. They cannot dominate you while you are standing in your full power, so they must systematically dismantle the foundation of your self-worth. Jung spoke of the shadow, the repressed, darker side of the personality. The narcissist is driven by a power shadow. They have an insatiable need for dominance to compensate for their deep-seated feelings of inferiority. When they encounter someone like you who possesses genuine strength, their shadow is triggered. They feel an instinctive compulsion to bring you down to their level. They begin training you through manipulation, lies, and subtle abuse. This process is rarely obvious at the beginning. It starts slowly. They get you to hand over your power through deception. They trick you into believing that you are beneath them. They use intermittent reinforcement, giving you praise one day and withdrawing it the next, to create a chemical dependency in your brain. You begin to work harder for their approval, not realizing that you are being conditioned like a subject in an experiment. The abuse strips away your inner power and strength. They do this to capture you and keep you confined in a situation that you had no desire to be in. They create a dynamic where you feel lesser, dependent, or indebted. They
Вижте, ja sam da ustanem da operam ruke i da namažem kremu, brate.
trick you into believing that you are deserving of ill treatment. They project their own failures onto you. If they are dishonest, they accuse you of lying. If they are selfish, they accuse you of being inconsiderate. Jung called this projection a defense mechanism where one expels their own negative traits and attributes them to another person. By forcing you to defend yourself against false accusations, they keep you off balance. You become so busy trying to prove your innocence that you forget you are the one with the integrity. They slowly erode your confidence so you won't see your own power. They want you to feel as though you are their property. They force you to obey them, not through physical force, but through psychological coercion. You are under their control, forced to work excessively hard to meet their demands, forced to comply with their commands. They act as though they have some type of authority over you. This authority is completely fabricated. It relies entirely on your agreement to participate in it. They position themselves as the judge and jury of your life, and you unconsciously accept the role of the defendant. The narcissist's goal is to make you become like a slave or a pet. A pet does not question the master. A slave does not realize they have the strength to revolt. By reducing you to a submissive role, they neutralize the threat your strength poses. They cannot handle an equal because an equal requires vulnerability and reciprocity, two things the narcissist is incapable of. They need a subordinate. They need someone who reflects their grandeur, not someone who challenges it. Their fear here is simple but profound. If you stay strong, they can't control you. A person who is grounded in their own reality is immune to gaslighting. A person who respects themselves does not tolerate disrespect. A person who knows their value does not accept crumbs. The narcissist knows that your strength is still there, buried under the layers of doubt they have piled upon you. They are terrified that one day the training will fail. They fear that the dormant power within you will wake up. Jung emphasized that the psyche acts as a self-regulating system. When an individual is suppressed too far, the unconscious mind will eventually push back to restore balance. The narcissist is constantly fighting against this natural law. They are fighting to keep you suppressed because they know that your natural state is one of power. They are afraid that you will stop looking at them for permission and start looking at them with clarity. If you remain strong, their tactics become useless. Their silence treatments won't hurt you. Their criticisms won't wound you. Their triangulations won't make you jealous. Your strength renders their entire arsenal of manipulation obsolete. This is why they work so tirelessly to exhaust you. They are not just being mean. They are engaging in a preemptive strike against your potential independence. They are trying to break your will before you realize that you have the will to leave them behind. In the next part, you'll see how their need for control shows up in the smallest moments, and why even your certainty becomes a threat to them. A narcissist doesn't oppose you because they disagree. They oppose you because doubt is the fastest way to gain control. And the quickest way to make you doubt yourself is to attack everything you feel sure about, even the smallest things. You may have noticed a strange pattern in your interactions with them. No matter what you say, they seem compelled to take the other side. If you express a liking for a specific movie, they immediately tell you why it is terrible. If you are excited about a new idea, they point out all the reasons it will fail. If you state a simple, verifiable fact, they argue the details or claim you are misinformed. This is not a difference of opinion. This is a psychological strategy designed to invalidate your internal reality. When the narcissist is in the proximity of a powerful, strong, dynamic person, they feel an instinctive need to become resistant or oppositional. They refuse to accept or comply with anything that you value. They act as though they do not see the merit in your choices, or that your preferences are objectively wrong. They pretend that your interests are boring, childish, or irrelevant. This behavior is designed to prevent you from feeling successful or validated. It is harmful and unfavorable to you because humans require social mirroring to feel connected and understood. When the person closest to you consistently reflects a distorted image back to you, it begins to fracture your sense of self. They create self-doubt by being consistently oppositional. They become fiercely inclined to disagree or to do the opposite of what is expected. They have to do this to create uncertainty within you. Jung understood that our grip on reality is partially maintained through our interactions with others. When you say something is true and another person agrees, your reality is reinforced. The narcissist understands this dynamic and weaponizes it. They systematically withhold agreement. By constantly contradicting you, they prevent your reality from stabilizing. You begin to question your own judgment. You wonder if you are wrong, if you have bad taste. or if you are perceiving things incorrectly. Consider a realistic scenario involving something simple like a plan for dinner. You suggest a restaurant that you know is good. You have been there before, and you enjoyed it. A normal partner might agree or suggest an alternative based on preference. The narcissist, however, will attack your choice. They will tell you that the food there is garbage, that the service is slow, or that you have poor taste for liking it. They might even agree to go, only to spend the entire evening complaining and making you feel guilty for choosing it. They ruin the experience, not because the restaurant is bad, but because it was your choice. If they can make you regret your own decisions, they condition you to stop making decisions altogether. They extend this opposition to your perception of events. They will rewrite history in real time. If you confront them about something hurtful they said, they will deny saying it. They will insist that you are sensitive, that you misunderstood, or that you are making things up. They speak with such absolute conviction that you begin to doubt your own memory. You might find yourself apologizing for things you did not do simply to end the conflict. This is the goal of their opposition. They want you to trust their version of reality over your own. They want to be the only source of truth in your life. They pretend not to see your strengths even though they deeply admire them. The narcissist is not being real or genuine when they act resistant. Deep down, they likely have a deep level of admiration for the very things they criticize. They might secretly love the music you listen to, but they will mock it to your face. They might be impressed by your career, but they will belittle your achievements in conversation. They cannot acknowledge your value because they believe that validating you diminishes them. They view every interaction as a competition. If you are right, they feel they are losing. Therefore, they must make you wrong. This behavior serves a specific control function. If they agreed with you, they would be validating your separate existence. They would be admitting that your thoughts have merit independent of them. To a narcissist, granting you validity feels like losing control. They must be the superior authority. They act as though they possess secret knowledge or better standards than you. They position themselves as the judge, and you become the person constantly on trial, waiting for a verdict that is always negative. The doubt they create is exhausting. You spend an immense amount of energy trying to explain yourself, justify your feelings, or prove your point. You bring up facts, you show evidence, you try to reason with them, but you find that logic does not work. This is because they are not interested in the truth. They are interested in the position of authority. They will argue circular logic just to keep you engaged in the conflict. They will change the subject, bring up past mistakes, or attack your tone of voice, all to avoid admitting you are right. Eventually, you become too tired to fight. You give up. You start saying, "You're right," just to get some peace. This surrender is exactly what they want. They target the things you feel most strongly about because those are the pillars of your identity. If you are passionate about a political cause, they will play the devil's advocate and attack your values. If you love your family, they will point out your family's flaws. They do this to isolate you from your own foundations. If they can make you doubt your values, your family, and your passions, you have nothing left to hold on to except them. You become unmoored, drifting in a sea of uncertainty, looking to them for direction. This opposition is also a defense mechanism against their own emptiness. The narcissist has no true self to rely on. They define themselves by what they are not. By opposing you, they create a temporary sense of identity. They feel strong when they are tearing down your arguments. They feel superior when they are mocking your choices. Your distress validates their power. If they can make a strong, capable person like you feel insecure and anxious, they feel a rush of control. It proves to them that they exist and that they have an impact on the world. This strategy reveals their intense fear. They oppose you because your confidence threatens their false self. If you trust your own judgment, you will not rely on theirs. If you remain confident in your choices, you do not need them to tell you what to do. A person who trusts their own mind is uncontrollable. The narcissist needs you to be unsure. They need you to be anxious about your own decisions so that you will hand the decision-making power over to them. They are terrified of the moment you stop asking for their opinion. They want you to exist in a state of suspended agency. They want you to hesitate before you speak, wondering if what you say will be criticized. They want you to second-guess your outfit before you leave the house. They want you to feel a low-level anxiety that permeates your entire life. This anxiety keeps you focused on them. You become hyper-vigilant, constantly scanning their mood, trying to anticipate their reaction so you can avoid the criticism. This is a form of psychological containment. They have trapped you in a prison of self-doubt, and they hold the key, which is their approval, something they will never truly give. If you've ever had to keep going alone, without motivation, without support, guided only by will, share your story in the comments, because maybe your story will be the small flame that keeps someone else from giving up today. Ultimately, their opposition is a sign of their fragility. A secure person does not need to destroy someone else's reality to feel safe. A secure person can handle.
No, što sam sad? 20 para, braćo. 1920. 20 para. 1920. To je to. 3000 dinara, ali ne? Našao sam 20 para. Što? 550 dinara. To su 20 godine. 20 godine. 5 eura, brate. A, šta je? To je to, brate. 3000 dinara, brate, traži lik. Sad imamo. Marija Terena, Franc, Josef, 1800. godine. Marija Terena. Dobro, vidjet ćemo. Potom potom. Potom. Nastavio sam triceps. Molim.
A difference of opinion. The narcissist cannot. They are defending a fortress made of glass. They know that if you ever stop doubting yourself, you will start analyzing them. You will look at their contrarian behavior and see it for what it is, a desperate attempt to stay relevant. They are not the all-knowing authority they pretend to be. They are simply a person who is terrified of being ignored. They create noise and conflict because silence and agreement would require them to face themselves. And facing themselves is the one thing they cannot do. In the next part, you'll understand why their attacks always seem to land on the parts of you that matter most, and what that reveals about their deepest fear. The narcissist does not attack you at your weakest points. They attack you at your strongest. This is one of the most difficult aspects of their behavior to understand because it contradicts common sense. You naturally assume that a person who claims to love you would want you to succeed, or at the very least would support the qualities that make you who you are. But the narcissist views your strengths differently. To them, your best qualities are not assets to be nurtured, they are threats to be neutralized. They target the parts of you where you are most confident, capable, and self-assured, because those are the only barriers standing between them and total control. A person who knows their own value is impossible to dominate. If you are secure in your intelligence, you will not accept their attempts to confuse you. If you are secure in your moral character, you will not accept their attempts to make you feel guilty. If you are secure in your independence, you will not accept their attempts to make you dependent. Therefore, the narcissist must dismantle these specific securities. They must take the things you are most proud of and turn them into sources of shame or doubt. This is a calculated strike against your identity. Jung understood that the self is the center of the personality, the part of you that provides stability and direction. The narcissist's goal is to destabilize this center so that you lose your direction and are forced to follow theirs. This process often begins with the redefinition of your reality. They take a trait that is objectively positive and reframe it as a negative. Consider a scenario where you are naturally generous and empathetic. You thrive on helping others and connecting with people. In a healthy relationship, this would be valued, but the narcissist will slowly begin to twist this trait. They will tell you that you are naive for trusting people. They will tell you that others are laughing at you behind your back because you are too nice. They will accuse you of being manipulative or attention-seeking when you help someone. Over time, you stop viewing your generosity as a strength. You start viewing it as a weakness or a flaw. You begin to second-guess your natural instincts. You withdraw socially, not because you want to, but because you have been convinced that your way of interacting with the world is wrong. They apply this same tactic to your competence and intelligence. The narcissist often chooses partners who are highly capable, people who run businesses, manage households, or excel in their careers. Yet, within the relationship, they will make you feel completely incompetent. They will focus on minor errors and magnify them until they overshadow your achievements. You might successfully manage a complex project at work, but if you forget to buy milk on the way home, they will treat you as if you are incapable of functioning as an adult. They will look at you with a mixture of pity and annoyance, asking why you can't seem to keep track of simple things. This is not about the milk. This is about creating a false belief that you are fundamentally flawed. If they can make you doubt your ability to handle small tasks, they can eventually make you doubt your ability to handle your life. The narcissist also targets your emotional stability. They know that a calm, rational person is difficult to manipulate. Therefore, they must manufacture chaos to break your composure. They will provoke you, push your boundaries, and ignore your requests until you finally react with anger or frustration. The moment you raise your voice or cry, they shift instantly. They become calm and accuse you of being unstable, crazy, or out of control. They point to your reaction as proof that you are the problem. They ignore the hours or days of provocation that led to that moment and focus entirely on your response. This is a devastating tactic because it uses your own biology against you. When you are in a state of high stress, you cannot think clearly. You begin to believe their narrative that you are the emotional one, while they remain the rational observer. You forget that your anger was a normal response to abnormal treatment. This systematic dismantling extends to your memories and your perception of reality. A confident person trusts their memory. You know what you said, and you know what happened. The narcissist fears this clarity. If you trust your memory, you can hold them accountable, so they must erode that trust. They will deny events that definitely happened. They will insist they said things they never said. They will tell you that you are remembering things incorrectly, or that you are making things up. When this happens repeatedly, your brain stops relying on its own records. You start looking to the narcissist to verify what is real. You start asking, "Did that happen?" Or, "Am I overreacting?" This surrender of your cognitive autonomy is exactly what they require. They want to be the author of your history. They are particularly threatened by your ability to experience joy and enthusiasm. You likely have a high amount of this energy. You get excited about new ideas, hobbies, or opportunities. The narcissist views your independent joy as a betrayal. If you are happy about something that has nothing to do with them, they feel ignored and irrelevant. They cannot tolerate you having a source of supply that they do not control. This is why they often ruin special occasions, holidays, or moments of success. Imagine you have just received a promotion or achieved a personal goal. You come home excited, wanting to share the news. The narcissist will not celebrate with you. They might offer a cold, one-word response. They might immediately change the subject to a problem they are having. Or they might pick a fight about something trivial just to dampen your mood. They cannot allow you to stay in that high vibration state. They need to bring you down to their level of misery. If they can ruin the moment, they reassert their control over your emotional state. They teach you a painful lesson, that your happiness will always be punished. Eventually, you stop sharing good news. You
Šta vi
stop
mislite
getting
o ovome,
excited.
a?
You flatten your own
Koliko
emotions
načisto.
to avoid the inevitable attack. You become less alive, which is exactly what they want. The narcissist is also deeply intimidated by your ability to acquire and apply knowledge. If you are a person who learns quickly, solves problems, and thinks critically, you are a constant danger to their false reality. They rely on you being ignorant of their tactics. But a person who seeks knowledge will eventually find the answers. They will read, they will observe, and they will analyze. The narcissist hates it when you display your intelligence because it highlights their own lack of depth. They may try to mock your interests or tell you that you think too much. They might act bored when you speak about things that matter to you. They want you to feel that your intellect is a burden to others rather than a gift. They want you to shut down your mind because an active mind is a mind that eventually sees through the deception. Deep down, the narcissist knows that you are superior to them in terms of your internal structure. You have a self, a core identity that exists independently of what others think. They do not. They are empty vessels that require constant validation to feel real. Your existence reminds them of this emptiness. Every time you act with confidence, you are holding up a mirror to their insecurity. Every time you make a decision without consulting them, you are proving that they are not necessary. This causes them significant psychological distress. They cannot simply ignore your strength. They must actively destroy it to protect their own fragile ego. They are trying to force you to adopt a false identity. They want you to believe that you are small, confused, and incapable. They want you to believe that you are lucky they are tolerating you. But this entire construct is a lie. They are not tolerating you. They are dependent on you. They are not the strong ones. They are the ones using cheap tricks to feel powerful. They attack your strength because it is the one thing that can surpass and expose them. If you hold on to your confidence, if you refuse to accept their definition of who you are, their power dissolves. They can only control you if you agree to participate in the lie. Their deepest fear is that you will realize that the version of you they have created, the weak, crazy, incompetent version, does not exist. It is a fiction they wrote and forced you to act out. They fear the moment you drop the script and walk off the stage. They fear the return of the person you were before you met them, the person who was full of life, certainty, and power. That person is still inside you, waiting to be reclaimed. And that person is the only thing the narcissist truly fears. In the next part, you'll see what hides beneath their contempt, and why your strength fascinates them more than they'll ever admit. Behind the narcissist's arrogance, criticism, and constant opposition lies a secret truth they will guard with their life. They are overwhelmingly impressed by you. This assertion seems to contradict your daily experience with them. On the surface, they act as if they are superior, looking down on you with judgment or indifference. They treat you as though you are flawed, incapable, or embarrassing. However, you must look past their behavior to understand their motivation. Jung understood that human behavior is often compensatory. When a person displays an extreme, exaggerated sense of superiority, it is almost always a cover for an equally extreme sense of inferiority. The narcissist does not act arrogant because they feel big. They act arrogant because they feel small. When they are in your presence, your natural qualities trigger this deep-seated inferiority complex. They see your ease with people, your ability to handle stress, your creative energy, or your genuine kindness. These are not just traits to them, they are reminders of their own internal failures. They know deep in their private thoughts that they lack the substance you possess. They know they are mimicking human emotion while you are actually experiencing it. This creates a painful gap between their reality and yours. To survive this realization, they must deny it. They cannot acknowledge
Pogotovo današnji klinke, brate, a ja sam, brate, zapravo što stavim. Učimo kako se izboriti sa narcisom.
your power, because doing so would force them to face their own emptiness. This is why they cannot act natural or relaxed around you. If they were to let their guard down and simply appreciate you, they would be admitting that you have something they do not. In their competitive worldview, admitting you have value is the same as admitting they are losing. Therefore, they must wear a mask of indifference. You might achieve something significant, a promotion, a creative breakthrough, or a personal milestone, and their reaction will be stone cold. They will not smile, they will not ask questions, they might even change the subject immediately or check their phone. This is not because your achievement is boring, it is because your achievement causes them psychological distress. It is a spotlight that shines too brightly on their own lack of progress. Jung suggested that we project our own unconscious potential onto others. In the beginning, the narcissist projected their ideal self onto you. They saw in you the person they wanted to be. That is why they chased you so aggressively. They wanted to possess your light, but now that they have you, that same light has become a source of resentment. They do not hate you, they hate the fact that they cannot be you. This envy transforms into hostility. They punish you for the very virtues they initially admired. If you're honest, they mock you for being bad at lying. If you are loyal, they treat you like a doormat. They are trying to devalue the qualities they secretly covet so they don't have to feel the sting of envy. They refuse to give you validation because they view validation as a transfer of power. They believe that if they compliment you, they are handing you a weapon. They worry that if you realize how impressive you are, you will also realize that you are out of their league. So they withhold the one thing they know you want: approval. They starve you of compliments to keep you working for them. It is a control mechanism. If they told you the truth, that you are intelligent, capable, and vital, you would become self-sufficient. By keeping you insecure, they ensure you remain dependent on their opinion. There is a specific behavior you will notice when you display strength. They become fiercely resistant. If you speak with authority on a subject, they will interrupt you or disagree with a minor detail to derail your point. They cannot allow you to be the expert in the room. They have to interrupt your flow. They have to crush your spirit. This is not because they disagree with your facts. It is because they cannot tolerate your status. They need to be the authority, the teacher, and the judge. When you occupy that space naturally, it threatens their entire false identity. This dynamic reveals their profound lack of an internal self. Jung taught that a person with a solid core does not feel diminished by the success of others. A strong person can admire another strong person without feeling threatened. The narcissist cannot do this. They experience your strength as a direct attack on their ego. This is why they often try to steal your ideas or take credit for your work. They will hear you say something insightful, ignore it, and then repeat it to someone else a week later as if it were their own thought. They are trying to absorb your qualities into their own persona. They want the applause that belongs to you. Deep down, they experience feelings of intense discontentment. They look at your life, your connections, your peace of mind, your resilience, and they feel cheated. They wonder why it looks so easy for you and feels so impossible for them. This creates a resentment that simmers under every interaction. They want to strip you of your power so that you feel as helpless as they do. If they can make you cry, make you fail, or make you doubt yourself, they feel it.
Ja pričam kako mi Kjer uginuo, brate. Plačem. Kaže kako je to divno. Kaže ne mislim na kuće, nego na Kjer. Na suze. Šta je još? Mi prošlo sad kroz glavu.
Temporary relief. It brings you down to their level. For a brief moment, they are not the only ones suffering. However, they must never let you know they feel this way. They must maintain the illusion that they are the prize and you are the lucky one. They will make comments implying that you would be nothing without them. They will suggest that no one else would put up with you. These are lies designed to hide the truth, that they are terrified of losing their source of supply. They know that you are the engine of the relationship. They are merely the passenger who criticizes the driver. The most telling sign of their hidden admiration is their obsession with you. Even when they are ignoring you, they are watching you. They track your movements, your social media, and your interactions with others. They study you constantly. A person who truly thought you were worthless would not spend this much energy monitoring you. They are obsessed because you are the main character in their reality. You are the screen onto which they project their entire life. They act like they don't care, but in reality, they care too much. They are dependent on your reaction to define their existence. They fear that if they ever let the mask slip, if they ever showed you a moment of genuine vulnerability or respect, the spell would break. You would see that they are just a person, a flawed, insecure, envious person. And once you see that, you would naturally assume authority over your own life. You would stop asking for permission. You would stop begging for love. You would simply exist in your own right. And that is the one thing they cannot allow. Ultimately, their refusal to admit they admire you is the greatest confession of all. It proves that your strength is real. It proves that your light is visible. If you were truly as insignificant as they say, they wouldn't have to work so hard to make you feel small. They wouldn't have to oppose you at every turn. The intensity of their effort to suppress you is the direct measurement of your power. They are not fighting a weak person. They are fighting a powerhouse, and they know it. In the final part, you'll uncover the realization that ends their illusion, and why your awakening is the turning point they feared from the start. When you finally see through their manipulation and reclaim your strength, the entire dynamic collapses. This is the moment of enantiodromia, a Jungian concept where a force turns into its opposite. The victim becomes the victor. The confused becomes the clarified. The illusion fades, and reality takes its place. The narcissist spends the entire relationship trying to prevent this specific moment. All the gaslighting, the opposition, the training, and the abuse were constructed to stop you from arriving at this final conclusion. They leave when they realize you've awakened to your power. In most cases, when the narcissist finally decides to leave, it is because they have realized that you have realized your power and superiority over them. They try to strip you of your power to use or exploit you, but when they finally decide to leave, it's because you have realized that they don't have any power. You have realized that they have tricked, controlled, and influenced you. You have seen the man behind the curtain. They fear you discovering they never had control, only illusions. They cannot acknowledge who you really are, because then they will be allowing you to have power and authority over them. That wouldn't favor or benefit them in any way, because they don't have anything to offer. They are lacking the power to perform. You would have no desire to keep them around once you realize that they are not about anything. They are empty vessels. The moment you stop projecting your own light onto them, they disappear into the darkness. They cannot allow you to exist in your true, powerful nature. They don't want you to display power and strength. They don't want you to have the ability to make considered decisions, because you would naturally surpass them. You would naturally have authority over them. Anyone who has the power to make decisions is a threat to them. They are likely to cause damage to what the narcissist is trying to accomplish. They need you broken to keep you. A fixed you is a free you. The final truth they fear is that you are superior to them, and they know it. Making you believe that you are equal to them, or worse, beneath them, is the greatest lie they ever told. You are not equal to them. You are superior to them in terms of empathy, integrity, vitality, and authenticity, and they are fully aware of this. That's why they have to be against you. That's why they have to be opposed to everything you're about. They greatly fear that you might realize your power. When you understand this, the fear they instilled in you evaporates. You realize that their aggression was fear in disguise. You realize that their silence was emptiness in disguise. You realize that their control was desperation in disguise. Jung believed that the goal of life is the realization of the self. The narcissist tried to block that realization, but they failed. You are seeing it now. You are realizing that you were never the victim. You were the threat. You were the one with the power all along. The nightmare ends not when they change, but when you wake up. And when you wake up, you see them not as monsters to be feared, but as shadows to be walked through. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your mind. You reclaim your soul. You have walked through every layer of their illusion and finally seen what was never meant to be seen. Not the mask, not the persona, but the emptiness underneath it. And when that truth lands, something shifts. Not in them, in you. Because once you understand the architecture of their manipulation, once you recognize that their power was nothing but borrowed light, the fear they planted inside you dissolves. The spell breaks. The narrative collapses. You start reclaiming everything they tried to erase, your mind, your intuition, your inner authority. And with each truth you integrate, their shadow shrinks, not because you are fighting them, but because you have stopped feeding them. This is the part they feared, your clarity, your groundedness, your refusal to bend yourself into shapes that were never yours to begin with. And now you see it clearly. Your strength was never the problem, it was the threat. Your empathy was never a weakness, it was the light that exposed their darkness. This awakening is not an ending, it is the beginning of sovereignty. So take a breath. You've crossed a threshold they hoped you would never reach. You stepped out of the narrative that kept you small and into the truth that makes you whole. And if you are ready to continue this journey, not toward them, but toward yourself, the next video is waiting. Your path toward complete sovereignty has only just begun.
It doesn't happen all at once. No explosion, no visible collapse. When an empath breaks, it looks calm on the surface. Yet, something deep inside shifts and doesn't return. For years, they've absorbed everyone's pain.
Znam kad je sunce palo, znam kad je vreme stalo, znam sve bi srce dalo, samo malo da si tu.
Znaj da zbog tebe gorim, znaj da se tuge bojim, znaj da i ja bez tebe više ne postojim.
Jer ti za mene si ti i jedino ti u meni vatre pališ, daj zaboravi sve i dođi što pre.
Jer tako ludo volim te, za mene si ti i jedino ti.
Ovo samo zato što je Maca moj druga napravio, brate. Nebo je malo, malo je zrna.
Svako ima svoju priču, ja ti noću pričam moju. Vidi mi se sve na licu, jer svaka moja priča ima svoju boru. Mnogi nema više, oni nisu dočekali zoru. Noći prevariš jer predali su svoju borbu. A hteo sam samo da imam normalan život, ženu i decu. A duhom i prošlošću svima kao i nad pare projekciju. Hteo sam samo da snimam spot za tu novu pesmu, da pusti sve to ljudima, jer imamo posebnu vezu. A sve brzo postalo biznis da popizdiš. Kriminal i reket reci manje pretnje, kreni na mene da vidim. Brate može, ali juče nije mama rodila pičku. Ne dam nikome da me vuče, i ako treba i pištolj, ne tere me da izvučem. I veruj mi da se krišam, molim Bogu da gore na nebu sad nema mesta više za nikog. Nije to lako i nije za svakog, ali ja sam znao za sve. I čuvaj me Bože, u tog je noža, jer nebo je malo za sve. Svako ima nekog svoga, koga nema sad više, koji mu je neophodan, koga voli najviše. Ovaj put je neprohodan, na njemu padaju kiše, na grudima je neprobojan pancir s koga suze sad brišem. Nikada preko Boga, nikada preko mrtvih, nikada preko toga, poštovanje svih žrtvi. Ceo život je joga, samo balans i ljubav, al svuda da kroči mi noga, samo zavisi tuga. Jebeš slavu i pare, čuvaj glavu i zdravlje, jer neko džabolu daje samo za slavu i slavlje. Brate može, ali juče nisam ja za tu priču, mene anđeo vuče, ali džabo pisao na silu. Teo da me navuče, tamo gde davno sam bio, molim Boga da gore na nebu sad nema mesta više za nikog. Nije to lako i nije za svakog, ali ja sam znao za sve. I čuvaj me Bože, u tog je noža, jer nebo je malo za sve.
Device security, but their device security.
Morning breeze with quiet sound, peace in everything around. Every glow, a promise near. Every silence draws you here. Through the light we start again.
Ne mogu da ne enablujem sad, brate, jer restartujem mi se, znači... Zašto mi se restartuje? Ajmo opet iz početka. Ovdje ne radi levi klik, bukvalno. Opet sam sve da topno izradi to use. Check the specific feature should be to if status version are correct in it. Open the security data type Windows security and press enter. Your device the security, select security details. Device security details. Gde? Device security details. Ne postoji, brate. Postoji, brate. Select security processor details. Device security processor details. Brate, nisam pametan, brate. sam ko kurac. Device security details. Gdje je to? Device security details.
We rise where the earth remembers us. Dust on our feet, names in the guts. We rise where the earth remembers us. Footprints that you're woven past. Dust like fire in a shallow glass.
How to enable TPM files?
Drum circles breathing slow and wide.
TPM.
Palm to palm.